not only see the experiences, but then have their children see how committed they are to going to school, because they're actually going to school themselves.
We have hundreds of people come. It might be 100, it might be 200, it might be 300 or 400 or even 500, but they come by the droves, and so we see concrete evidence.
If you are or have been the parent of a teenager, you might remember a time when you stopped understanding the vocabulary used in their math classes. The Pythagorean theorem doesn't exactly come up in many conversations. Even what we might think is common, like understanding the English language, keeps some parents from fully understanding their own child's education. That's what the LPS Family Literacy Program has been working on at some elementary schools across Lincoln. They engage with interested parents to help them become more knowledgeable about their son or daughter's school and to help them with their own goals. And that's the topic of this episode, number 4. I'm Zachary Bear, and this is the LPS Podcast. Family literacy in Lincoln Public Schools takes place during the daily routines of life. Parents, after all, are their child's first and primary teacher. Today we'll hear from two principals, Scott Schwartz at West Lincoln Elementary and Michelle Suarez at Everett Elementary. One quick editorial note, these interviews were actually held at different times and in different places, but we put together their answers so that you can get two different perspectives on similar topics, and trust me, it just helps with the story flow. So here we go. We start with Scott Schwartz and then Michelle Suarez on the goals of family literacy.
Family literacy was brought to Lincoln about 6 years ago through a grant through the National Center for Families Learning, and through this grant we were able to implement the program at West Lincoln and 2 other schools, and this program has 4 components. The first one is adult ed time, and then adult ed time in the family literacy classroom. They are primarily just learning English, and another component is parent time, and parent time is where parents learn parenting skills. It can be anything from how to put your children to bed, to learning about CPR, to learning about programs in the community. The next component is a very powerful component because it brings parent time and adult ed time together, and that is called PAC time. And in PAC time, parents actually go into the classroom with their children to learn with them. They sit next to them in the classroom and actually do the work that they are doing. And the final component that makes everything happen is the child care for the younger students in the family. Parents are able to come to school and have spend uninterrupted time learning in the classroom, and also spending time with that focused child that they're going to PAC time with.
Right. Well, at Everett, we have the core components of the family literacy program that research says is best practice. We have our ESL program where our parents are learning English. And then we have our parent and child together time where parents go into the classroom to be able to see their child learning. And so they also continue their learning of English as well as learning how their kids learn at school. And then we have a parenting component where parents meet together and they learn about community resources. They also learn about best practices in raising kids. And of course, that varies from culture to culture. But we look at some common kinds of things that they prefer to learn about. And then all that leads into child education. So the goal of our family literacy program is to increase children's education. And we know that when we increase parent learning, we also increase student learning.
The ultimate goal then is to what? To get these parents?
The ultimate goal is to equip parents to be the parents that they need to be for their children to be successful in school. When you have language as a barrier, you can't communicate with your child about school. You can't support them with their homework. You can't do anything in the realm of school. By them going to PAC time, they actually see what's going on in action. So then if their child comes home, they have an idea of what's going on. So they're able to support their child with their homework, or at least know enough to ask the teacher or contact the school if they need some extra assistance. And the final piece is that once families get all this, they tend to understand school and the importance of school. So when they are able to understand it and communicate with their child, it just brings about more engagement with them.
If a parent doesn't have a good concept of what happens it might be just a Lincoln Public Schools classroom, or it might just be a classroom in America, or they don't speak English very well or at all, how does that present itself? What challenges does that bring to the student in the classroom, the younger student?
Well, sometimes the younger students in the classroom will know more English and have a stronger concept of what education is like than their parents. So then the parents have a hard time sometimes establishing that authority that says, I know best for you. And so this program helps parents to increase their learning and knowledge so that they can be that authority figure that kids need. So they are like sponges, our parents are. They go in and they are looking to see, how does the teacher teach? How can I learn from this teacher, both my English, the content, as well as how can I help my child succeed at home?
Putting them in this environment gives them the opportunity to see the experiences, and not only see the experiences, but then have their children see how committed they are to going to school, because they're actually going to school themselves. And it's strange for me to just say that, but it's even more powerful for a parent to say that is their reason. That is their sole reason for being in family literacy, is because they want their child to know how important school is.
You've had this now for more than a few years.
Yes.
Have you seen the culture shift, whether it's just acceptance or awareness or knowledge of the program, and what kind of impact does that have on parents who are, again, new to Everett?
What we've seen is relationships deepen, and so the parents are much more likely to express a concern because they have the communication skills to do so, they have the knowledge to do so, and they're also more likely to share successes, both in their families as well as with their children. They express needs, and so we've seen the partnership in terms of parent engagement with school deepen and evolve over this time. We have a strong program. We have a waiting list because parents know in the community that this is a place, Everett is a place where they can go and learn English and then learn about resources. And we are a resource in and of ourselves to be able to help parents succeed because our goal, again, is to help children succeed. And so we strengthen this partnership over those years of time.
When you have a parent in the school so often, in the classroom, and they become pretty engaged, do you see other benefits of being engaged? How does that carry on outside the program?
Well, they come to family events. They go to parent-teacher conferences. They ask teachers questions. They'll come in the office and ask questions. It's really, they turn from being just a parent who sends their child to school that knows about school to maybe even a parent that might even question what we're doing. And so then it makes it better for everybody.
Can you think of a case where a student, first, second, third, fourth grader, that has benefited directly because their parents were more involved, learned more English, understood the education system, or understood the resources available? Can you think of a time that maybe even surprised you on how effective this program can be?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are several stories, of course, but one that comes to mind is we had a parent who was really traumatized by some things that had happened in her native country. And she was very depressed, really felt hopeless. And we knew that because this parent communicated that to her husband, and her husband, who was English-speaking, communicated that to us. So we have kept her in the program longer than perhaps for some parents, and she still hasn't met the graduation requirements, so that's fine. But we kept her in the program because she needed the program, and we really needed her. We benefited from her participation. But she is now smiling, has this great sense of humor that she shares. And we know when she's feeling more comfortable and peaceful and good about life, then she's going to communicate that to her child. And so we've seen her children, who came very healthy, but the family just is healthier because of family literacy. So we were able to, again, establish this partnership, but also help this mom who was hurting from trauma, again, that had happened in her native country. And the family is less traumatized. They're healthier because we were able to make this strong connection between home and school.
When you see these success stories come, what does that do to you as a person, as a principal? What does that mean for you?
It really means that we're on the right track. It means that we're increasing parent engagement. We see visible signs of that when we have parent family nights. We have hundreds of people come. It might be 100, it might be 200, it might be 300 or 400 or even 500. But they come by the droves. And so we see concrete evidence that what we're doing is resonating with our families because they come to the school to engage in family nights. Maybe it's family game night. We might have 200 people show up. We had family science nights. We have health and wellness. We had a college and career night, and we had 100 people show up for that event. And that doesn't happen by itself. It happens with the day-to-day family engagement that happens through family literacy.
I'm wondering about the impact on you as a principal, because you see so many little cool stories and sometimes minor miracles, and what does that do for you?
The cool stories are mixed with the sad stories and with the reality of how the world is. And what it's helped me to see is it's helped me to see the world in a totally different light, and how people interact in and around our world, and families that come to our country, where they have troubles and maybe where they come from, they come to our country and they don't have the same conflicts with each other. I understand cultural differences like I haven't understood before. I see how families value education at a much deeper level. It used to be, they want their kids to graduate from high school. No, they really see that this is what is going to make a difference for their child. And just how much they trust us as a school, but even more so, I see that our teachers trust the parents more because they see them as a person. They see them as a parent who loves their child. Maybe their child's struggling behaviorally, or maybe their student's struggling academically, but they know that that parent loves their child that they're sending to school the best they can, and they're really making an effort to overcome it.
My next question was what kind of change on the culture of your school occurs because of this program, and it's pretty obvious. Do you sense that, I'm guessing you feel even more supported because you're more transparent, you've opened the doors, just like any school would, but purposely to get certain parents in the door and expose them to this. I'm just guessing that makes you feel like, we've got support if we need something, or if a family needs something, if a student needs something, we've got a bunch of people here who understand and are willing to help.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And our parents, through this program, have become more proud of our school, more proud of their own efforts and of themselves. And our staff then is also recognizing the importance and the critical pieces of the relationship. So we see staff and parents in our community then really responding to the efforts that everyone's making to increase that partnership. So our staff is so proud of our parents and the efforts that they are making. Our kids are proud of their parents. They verbalize that we're proud of what my mom's learning. And so we see just an overall deepening of relationships and success for both parents and families, which then in turn helps our staff to feel successful because they see what they're doing making a difference.
That's Michelle Suarez and Scott Schwartz, two elementary principals in Lincoln Public Schools, talking about the value that parent engagement can have on a child's education. To learn more about family literacy, go to lps.org and search Family Literacy. Thanks for listening. I'm Zachary Baer, and this is the LPS Podcast.